The hero of this story found his first love at a very young age. The woman was incredibly beautiful. Talks about how she spent time with different men were heard on every corner. The hero defended his beloved's honor as best he could, and often reunited with her in his fantasies on the creaky bed. This is Mr. Narrator. At the end of the video we will learn how the guy achieved the desired. Enjoy the movie. The movie begins as the hero, Renato Amoroso, shares a memory of Malena. He was just a boy that day. His father bought him a bicycle. There was an event in town to celebrate Italy joining the war. Many of the townspeople were rejoicing. The boys were busy doing their own thing. They were looking at an ant through a magnifying glass. The hero was pedaling and enjoying his bicycle. Malena was about to leave the house. Renato drove to the waterfront to see his friends. He hoped that having a bicycle would help him join their group. While the boys were voting, one of them went to explore. Suddenly, the boy beckoned. The boys instantly sat down on the parapet and got ready. Walking down the embankment was Malena. At the sight of the woman, Renato's eggplant showed itself. As the woman passed, the boys got on their bikes. They were hurrying to a new location where they could admire the woman's beauty again. Malena passed by again. The woman was incredibly beautiful. Renato inhaled her scent and closed his eyes in pleasure. When the heroine passed by, each of the boys' hearts sank. In the next scene we see a school for boys. Malena's father teaches Latin. He is hard of hearing and the students take advantage of this by saying lewd things to him about his daughter. Renato also studies here. The boy can't sleep at night. He dreams of the most beautiful woman he has seen. The next day, the hero and his friends are having fun on the beach. His buddy told the guys a story about buying cigarettes from Malena. The guy believed that he had a chance to get close to the woman, but he missed it. Renato didn't like his friends' talk. He tried to besiege his acquaintance. The guys laughed and decided to measure their eggplants. Renato's was 6 centimeters. Arguing about whose eggplant was bigger, they started fighting. One day, Renato decided to skip school. He went to the waterfront, to Malena's house. The boy fantasized about a woman asking him to come up and her leg being bare to her thigh. In the next scene, Renato went to the tailor. He wanted to alter his father's best pants on himself. When the man came home from work, he beat Renato up. His father promised to buy the guy pants when the bust of the leader split in half. At night, the hero ran away from home to see Malena. There was a hole in the wall of her house through which there was a good view of the living room. After a while, the men in the barber shop were discussing the local beauty. Everyone was curious about who the woman was spending her nights with while her husband Nino was at war. A little while later, Malena was lounging on the beach. To her chest, she clutched her husband's letter. Renato watched the woman through binoculars. At night, he again snuck into the secret place to admire the beauty. Malena was smoking and sewing something on a sewing machine. The woman was wearing a light strapless dress. She came up to change the record on the gramophone. A strap fell off the heroine's shoulder, exposing the beauty's roundness. Renato was shocked at how lucky he was to see the woman's melon. Malena put out her cigarette and cleaned off the table. Then she picked up a picture of her husband and started dancing with it. Renato watched the woman's movements greedily. Malena went up to her bedroom and got ready for bed. The next day, Renato tried to find out the name of the song to which Malena had danced. He bought a record of the song and listened to it at home before going to bed. Renato had a special book of beautiful ladies. He used it when he was relaxing. This time, the boy couldn't concentrate on the beautiful pictures. In his dreams, it was Malena. He imagined the woman letting him explore her body. After a while, the hero wrote a letter to his beloved. Renato confessed his feelings for the woman. The boys did not change their tradition. Every day they gawked at Malena and admired her firm peach. Renato followed the beauty on his bicycle. Every man in their town wanted to have fun with Malena. When the woman walked down the street, she was accompanied by lustful and envious looks. Malena never gave anyone a reason to gossip. The woman was polite to everyone. Renato followed her on his bicycle. He rode behind the heroine to some house. The woman forgot her key and asked an unknown man to open it for her. In the evening, Renato watched a movie. He imagined himself and Malena in the shoes of the heroes. At school, the teacher was doing the roll call of the students. The boys were making jokes about his daughter again, but the man couldn't hear a word of it. He thought the boys wanted to go to the restroom. Renato was getting angry. During recess, he spit from the stairs into a crowd of classmates. After school, the hero was repairing his bicycle with a handyman. He felt Malena approaching. Forgetting everything, Renato rode after the woman. He listened to the women who were also ogling the beautiful woman say nasty things about her. The townspeople compared Malena to the Baron's mistress. They considered her a fallen woman. After overtaking the heroine, Renato rode towards Malena. Once again, he followed her to the place where she went every day. This time the heroine had a key. Renato cycled through the courtyard, looking around the building. Through the gate, he climbed upstairs to see what the woman was doing. Malena was setting the table. In the next room sat a man. His face was not visible behind the newspaper. Renato tensed. However, the man walked into the dining room, and the boy recognized him as his teacher, the woman's father. Every day Malena walked across town to take care of her elderly father. Renato saw the heroine's towel fall by the heroine's side. The woman crouched down to pick it up. In the eyes of the guy, this moment was imprinted as a picture of the naked figure of the beauty. In the evening, he repeatedly recalled it and helped himself to let off steam. In the boy's dreams, they were movie heroes. Malena admired Renato and enjoyed spending time with him. The boy's actions made a certain amount of noise. Therefore, Renato's parents were aware of their son's nighttime activities. Renato's father believed that the boy would someday go blind from frequently touching his eggplant. After a while, the boys practiced sports in the plaza. From his classmates, Renato learned that the heroine's husband had died in the war. Everyone whispered that Malena was free. After school, Renato would rush to the woman's house. In the square, they expressed their condolences to Malena. The gossips in the crowd began to say that the woman was already looking for a new husband. The townspeople believed that Malena's target was the young lieutenant. Renato couldn't listen to the gossip. He left the square. The boy climbed the fence outside the heroine's house. He imagined that the doors to her house were open. Through the crack, he could see the woman's long legs, wearing beautiful stockings. Malena was experiencing her loss alone. Renato would come over to comfort the woman, and would promise to be with her always. In another hero's fantasy, Malena was in the role of the Virgin Mary, who accompanied the funeral procession. After a while, Renato listened to men talking at a local club. He moonlighted there as a waiter and spit in the drinks of those who spoke ill of a woman. In the library, the guy overheard a conversation between women. An old lady was spreading dirty rumors about the heroine. Renato ruined her purse. The boy decided to share his secret in church. He chose a saint he could trust. The boy asked the saint to protect Malena. He planned to grow up and marry a woman. The next day, Renato saw the woman in town. As befits a widow, the woman wore black. But even her new status and dark clothes didn't stop the evil tongues. Enraged, the guy broke a window in the building where the gossip was coming from. The hero approached Malena's house. From behind the fence, he watched the woman doing things in the garden. The boy snuck inside, ripped off the woman's panties, and ran away. He didn't want to be seen. At home, Renato recalled the image of the woman. It helped him relax. In the morning, his father came to wake his son. He found the boy asleep with the woman's panties on his face. When the man lifted the underwear, the boy was smiling in his sleep. The father began beating his son, calling him nasty words. Renato tried to run out of the room but was confronted by his mother and sisters. The woman saw her son's underpants on his head and joined his father. While the mother burned the underpants, the father forbade his son from leaving the room. Later, his mother was worried that Renato had not eaten all day. She complained to her husband about the quality of the goods. At that moment, Petro was spitting out coffee. The man showed the woman exactly how their son's underwear ripped. He asked her not to sew up Renato's underwear. The next day, friends were standing outside the boy's house. They heard Renato reading a prayer book. The guys assumed that the hero was either crazy or blind. A doctor drove up to Renato's house. The friends decided that the situation was getting serious. When the boy was examined by the doctor, he read prayers. The doctor advised to send the child to fresh air. In the next scene, Renato was riding his bicycle and smiling. The men around him were behaving strangely. At school, Malena's father received an urgent letter. The students were curious about what the message said. When the teacher came out of class, one of the boys made a joke. Renato started fighting with him. He imagined himself as a gladiator in the arena defending the honor of a beautiful lady. In the evening, he watched the woman's house. She had a guest, the same young lieutenant. The man ran into another friend of the woman's on the street. A fight broke out. In the morning, the whole town was buzzing with news of the young widow's troubled life. The woman was to be tried for having an affair with a married man. When Malena arrived at her father's house, his door was locked. The woman went to a lawyer. At the court hearing, they discussed the personal life of the heroine. Renato again imagined the seductive figure of a woman without clothes. In the evening, the heroine danced with her lawyer. He tried to get close to the woman. Renato peeped at the couple through the window and fell off a branch from the experience. Later, he went to a movie. The Baron's mistress made him feel good. In the blonde's place, Renato saw Malena. After a while, Renato felt homesick and saw his first love everywhere. The woman rarely left the house. In class, he was daydreaming. The teacher kicked him out of class. On his way downstairs, Renato pushed a statue of a great leader. The head split in half. His father kept his promise. Renato got his first long pants. The hero watched the lawyer. He liked the way the man's mother beat the man with flowers. At the wharf, the man tried to discuss the situation with Malena. The woman was walking through the city. She was besieged by rumors. At one point, Renato and the heroine found themselves alone in a small courtyard. The boy walked towards the woman, but Malena ignored him. Renato watched as the stranger stroked his beloved's cheek. Suddenly, airplanes appeared in the sky. The city began to be bombed. After the attack, the townspeople removed the rubble and said goodbye to the woman's father. Every man approached Malena with an interesting proposal. In the evening, the woman cut off her long hair. Renato watched her from his hiding place. He saw the woman washing herself and rubbing herself with lemon juice. A car with an officer pulled up to Malena's house. The man had come to have some fun. The next day, Renato saw Malena on the street. The woman looked even more beautiful with a short haircut and blonde hair. Remembering her, Renato rubbed his eggplant furiously. Time later, the boy witnessed the woman getting into a car with German officers. Rumors about Malena made Renato faint. The mother tried to exorcise the devil from her son. The father chose a more progressive way to deal with the boy's obsession. He took the hero to a special institution. There the boy became a man. Renato imagined he was doing it with Malena. In the next scene, the townspeople rejoiced at the arrival of the military. Renato had his own reasons for rejoicing. The women decided to take revenge on Malena. They dragged her out by the hair and beat her in the square. None of the men stood up for the woman. Renato sadly watched what was happening. The women cut Malena's hair and tore her clothes. The heroine was sad, but she found the strength to get up and leave. Hiding her face under a handkerchief, Malena left the city by train. Renato saw her off with a look. Later, he threw away a record with a song that reminded him of his first love. Malena's husband, Nino, returned to the ruined town. The townspeople thought he was dead. The man arrived at his home but found strangers there. No one knew where Malena had gone. Renato came to the men's club to find out the news. Nino asked the German officer to find his wife and return the house. The man questioned people on the streets. As a result, he was beaten up. Renato helped the man. At night, he threw Nino a letter telling him where the woman had gone. Nino left to look for Malena. A year later, the town was living its normal life. Renato had a girlfriend. Suddenly, the crowd began to whisper. Malena and her husband were walking through the square. Later, the heroine went to the market. The women wanted to establish a relationship with her. Malena's bag of fruit was torn. Renato helped her to collect oranges. The guy wished Malena happiness and left in the other direction. He carried the memory of his first love through his life. It was the 2000 movie Malena. Write in the comments, do you remember your first love? Do you think Renato could compete for a place in a woman's heart? See you in the next retelling.